Okay, today I'm going to talk about Paris again. The topic of today is things to do in Paris that are free or almost free. Now, I'm not going to give prices for things because they change all the time, but today I'm just going to tell you some things you can do for under like 20 euro for two people, okay? So that's what I mean by free or almost free. It's not going to be very expensive. The number one thing to do that is absolutely free in that city, I know you've heard it 1,000 times, is walk. Walk everywhere you go because that's the best way to discover the city. Get lost. We've been lost. I can't even tell you how many times we've been lost, but therefore we've discovered something even better, or we thought we wanted to go see something and we come up on something else. And let me tell you too, be open to change. There has never been a time that we have left one of our apartments and gone where we said we were going to go. We might go to the first place, but something about that city is you get off the metro and you get up top and you're on the street and you just change your mind of what you wanted to do. Now that's after you kind of know your way around a little bit, but we've been headed to one place and we change our mind constantly. We'll have a day almost mapped out. We've learned not to do that anymore because you just kind of flow with it. And if you're the kind of person, and let me tell you too, my husband is the most scheduled planner in the world, does not like change, but in that city, he'll do anything. He'll turn anyway, he'll do anything, he doesn't care. If he gets lost here in the States, he's ready to kill. But no, he'll be lost for hours, he doesn't care. He doesn't care because it's the best place in the world. Okay, that's something that's free. Another fun thing to do at morning, night or day, is to go up to Sacré-Cœur, which is the big church on the hill that I told you we stay near in Montmartre. Go up there and sit on the steps at night. It's so cool. There's always music up there. There's always crazy people. There's always people from all over the world, and that's what I love so much. I love going, walking, or sitting for 5 or 6 hours, and I've never heard a word of English. Oh, be still my heart. It's just the coolest thing. Okay, you go to the steps. Take a bottle of wine. We take champagne, 2 glasses. Everybody's just with their, person, and it's just so cool. And there's always someone playing music, and the lights of the city are all out before you, and it's just a fun place to go, and that's free. Picnicking, that's not free because you need to buy something to picnic with, but you got to eat anyway, right? The parks are all free. They're absolutely fantastic. Do not miss Luxembourg. Do not miss the Tuileries. Do not miss the park, the area right in front of the Louvre. We sit out there all the time. We love it. Some years they let you sit on the grass, and some years the grass is blocked off. I've never figured it out, but you can sit by the fountains. Everywhere you go in Paris, every single park, every single fountain, every single place has these green chairs. They're big metal green chairs, and they weigh a ton. There's the lean back kind and a straight back kind and a kind with arms. We always joke about that. No one steals them or drags them off that I know of, but you've always got a seat everywhere you go. So you just sit in front of the fountain and you sit there for hours, and the Louvre is right in front of you. You don't even have to go in. You have enjoyed that city so much because you're just, I don't know, it's awesome. Okay, so that's something else is free. It's picnicking. One thing that we love to do at Luxembourg is go and watch the old men. And we've done this there's another place by the Louvre that we've done this, but they play a game. I don't know the name of it. It's like balls. You just throw the balls and knock the balls out of the thing, and there's a little ball in the middle. I don't know. But that is so fun to sit and watch. We've sat just for hours and watched these men. They take it very seriously, and it's just fantastic. So that's a fun thing to do. One year I got really, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. I think it was like the 3rd year we went. I actually went to Walmart the night before we left and bought sketchbooks. I know. Because when we would be in the Louvre, we would see like a group of like people sketching. Like they were like an art class, right? Well, I thought, we don't have to be in an art class. We can sketch too. So we get our sketchbooks and we have our special sketching pencils. I know my husband would kill if he knew I was telling you this. And we go to the Louvre. It's closed. That's another thing I suggest. Check everywhere you go and make sure it's not closed before you get there because they close on odd days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, different ones are closed. Okay, so it was closed. Well, the courtyard is, of course, open because there's a bug in here. It's open because it's outside. So we sat with our we had some water bottles and cashews and some cookies, and we sat and we sketched the actual building for hours. It was the most relaxing time because you get so engrossed in what you're doing, and neither one of us can draw a circle. It was just something to do. But let me tell you, as people were wandering around because the fountains and everything are still on in the pyramids. They were trying to see what we were sketching because they thought we were someone special sketching. It was kind of funny. We did sketch in the Louvre one day. It was a disaster. And there people really were trying to look over our shoulder and see what we were drawing because they thought we were artists, right? Something else that's free. Oh, the Louvre, of course, and all the museums, they're not free, but they're very inexpensive. Some years we've bought something called a museum pass. You can look that up. I don't have it here, but that other Paris book I showed you, it talks about it in there. You buy them for a certain amount of days consecutively, and you can go in any museum in the city for free with the pass that you've paid for. But it's not a whole lot. If you're not going to spend a lot of time in the museums, you know, it might not be worth it. But I will say that if you go to Paris in the more crowded times of the year, the museum pass allows you to go to the front of the line. So that's really good. So we go in the fall where it's not quite as crowded. Some years we've bought the pass. Some years we just buy a ticket to the Louvre for the day. Now the Louvre, you know, I really didn't want to go there because it's just a museum, I thought. And when you go in, it's different. It's not like a museum here in America. It's just, well, I mean, the one in New York is like that. But anyway, it's just really cool. And you see the typical stuff. And then there's other things to see. Like, of course, you know, the Mona Lisa and all that. And let me tell you something. I made fun of the Mona Lisa before I got to the Louvre because I told my husband, we're walking through there and there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of paintings and huge and giant ones that are the size of a room. And I said to him on the way to the Mona Lisa, I said, there's no way that this picture can be good, this painting can be that great. What makes it so much better than all the other ones around? When I got up to that painting, my mouth dropped open. There is something different about that painting. I can't explain it, but I stared and I stared and I stared at it because it's just absolutely... There's a reason that it is the most famous painting, I guess, in the world. There's a reason. And when you get in front of it, you're like, wow, that's it. That's the reason. I don't even know. I can't describe it. But anyway. Okay, so there's that whole wing with all the famous stuff. And then there's some other like Egyptian. And okay, I don't want to talk about museums in detail. But when you go to the Louvre, there's another thing you can do. First of all, go to the basement, the bottom, underneath, underground. There's the original stone settings of the original Louvre when it was a castle, like old-timey castle, you know, with turrets and everything. And then the Louvre was built more and more and more, and now and then it was a palace, and then after the revolution, now it's a museum, obviously. But anyway, also in the Louvre, so go to the basement and see that. It's pretty cool. Also, there's a place in there. It's kind of hard to find. You have to ask, or it's on the map. It's Napoleon's apartments. Go look at those. They're somewhere in the building, and they are cool. All the furniture and the beds and the chairs and the chandeliers and the dishes, they're all in there. And it's beautiful and awesome, and you really get a feel of the place. So that's really fun to do, and that's very inexpensive. Another great thing to do in Paris, of course, is sit in a cafe. I can tell you that my husband gets grouchy every day at about 2:15 in Paris. He either hasn't had lunch or he's tired of walking or whatever. So I learned very quickly that at 2:15 I start looking for a cafe. And we sit outside or inside, either one, by the window and have a glass of wine. And we will sit there for 2 or 3 hours, or coffee sometimes. We will sit there for a long, long time. That is the best thing in the world to do for almost free because no one bothers you. No one asks you to get up. No one brings you your check until you ask for it. It's awesome. And I'm going to talk about restaurants in another video. But just as far as just having just a great time for hours, just hanging out and having the best conversation. And, you know, my husband, I don't know, you know, we'll sit. There's one particular place on the Champs-Élysées we love to sit. It's called La Deville. It's a little bar, restaurant-y thing. And, of course, on that street, you know, it's pretty cliche, but it's everybody in the world's going to walk past you from every country in the world, dressed in every way in the world that you can imagine. And I love sitting in this particular place right at the front window because my husband gives me a running commentary of every single person that walks by, and it's pretty hilarious. So that's a fun thing to do. Versailles is a little more than $20 total, but because you have to ride a train out there, but it is really cool. Don't miss Versailles. If you at all can go, go. It's worth the trip out there. It's a wonderful place. I told you earlier that a lot of really cool things you find accidentally, and I'll give you a little example. I had told my husband that I wanted to see a puppet show, you know, just a French puppet show like Punch and Judy or whatever that you've seen when you're, you know, on TV when you're little. You see it, but you've never seen it in person, right? And I would look in the book and they would say, you know, well, you can find one here and you can find one here, but the times are all sketchy. Well, we did find the puppet show one day and we weren't there at the right time or the right day or something. The sign was in French anyway, but we missed it. And I was so disappointed. Well, the next year we're walking. Now, we are walking between, I hate to even tell you because I'm not going to be able to explain it, but we're between the Louvre, well, there's a big tower where Marie Antoinette was beheaded, okay, and there's fountains and stuff. And if you just walk forever and ever and ever and ever, you're going to get to the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe on the other end. It's kind of a long, straight deal. Long, like far. We're walking along there, and there's a park on the right if you're going towards the Arc de Triomphe. I don't know the name of it, but it's in the book. Okay. We're just walking along. The second year we were there, I'd forgotten about the puppet show. And all of a sudden, my husband goes, and I said, what? He said, listen. And I'm listening. I'm like, what? I don't hear anything. And all of a sudden, I could hear this bell. Somebody is ringing like a school bell. And I said, so? He goes, don't you think that's the puppet show? I said, why would that be the puppet show? He goes, I don't know, but the puppet show we saw last year is right there, right over there. I didn't remember something like that. He has a sense of direction that I don't have. So anyway, we walk over there, and there is this old man with this funny hat with sticky out hair. Old. He's ringing the puppet show bell. And all you can see are these little bushes and trees. And he's standing there. And there's a little path. So we pay our money. We go down this little path. And then you get to these little tiny benches for children. And they're full of little French children. And I'm talking dressed just like you imagine. Little girl in a little wool coat. Just perfect with a little hat cocked to the side. Long brown hair. I'm telling you. And so we stood in the back behind the little benches. And there were moms there with the strollers and everything. Well, right in front of you is this puppet show wagon. And let me show you something really quick. A friend of mine sent this to me, and I absolutely love it. But this is what it kind of looked like, a puppet show wagon like this. But the guy wasn't on top. He was behind it. It was kind of like this, but bigger. And I'm telling you, I just about had a heart attack because I could not believe I was standing in front of this thing. Well, then the old man goes behind. He was a one-man show. He goes behind the wagon, and you hear this old scratchy record come on, like scratchy, like skipping and everything, and it's some sort of music. Well, then here come the puppets. The whole thing's in French. I do not understand a word, but it was funny because you kind of followed the story a little bit. But it was just one of those... Again, I couldn't believe I was sitting there in front of that puppet show because it was so authentic. And then when you leave, you go out the opposite way path, another different path, and there's a wooden horse that's like 1,000 years old, a rocking horse. Hanging on him is a market basket full of tangerines, and you get to take a tangerine when you leave. Yeah, seriously, tangerine. It was just one of those moments, I can't tell you. Now, there's another puppet show at Luxembourg, but it's in a concrete building. It's not the same experience. But this was just a moment I'll never forget. I get home, and I'm unpacking the next night after I got home from Paris, and I just can't believe I'm not there anymore. I can't believe I'm home. I'm depressed. I'm upset. I can't even believe it. And I thought, I'm just going to stick in a movie. So I stuck in the movie with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn where they're in Paris, and the name of the movie escapes me right now. I can't remember. It's not Charade. It's another one. Maybe it is Charade. No. They meet on the skiing slopes in the beginning, and her husband dies, and they're looking for the money. Okay, that movie. And so it's on, and she's in Paris and everything. She has Louis Vuitton luggage, right? And I'm kind of watching it. I'm unpacking. I'm just thinking I'm just going to start crying any minute because I'm not in Paris anymore. I'm sitting here in Florida. All of a sudden, they go to a puppet show in that movie. They go down a little path. There are trees. There is the wagon. It's the same puppet show. I couldn't believe it. It was like I was back. It was so cool. It was just like, I don't know if I'm conveying the excitement to you or not, but it was awesome. So if you get that movie of what I can't remember the name, I'll link it below because I will look it up before I post this. They're at the exact same puppet show. Exactly. And it's cool. So, and that movie was from 1960. So you see, things in Paris last a long time. They don't tear things down and make new very often. They just keep patching up the old. So that's it for today. This is really long. I apologize. I still got a couple more to go, so stay tuned. Thanks. Bye-bye.